Space, the final frontier.
This is the podcast of State of the Federation.
Its ongoing mission.
To preview strange new ships.
To seek out new builds and new combinations.
To boldly go where no fleet has gone before.
Hello there, citizens of the Federation, and welcome back to another episode of State of the Federation, finally. My name is Tucker, and with me today are my co-hosts, Robert and Joseph. How you guys doing?
So I have an interesting anecdote I want you guys to follow me with. I am sitting here drinking an A&W root beer.
Ew.
As I drink this, I think of the Dominion faction pack because it is root beer and it is good, but it's just not good root beer.
Just like the Dominion.
Like the...
But I also disagree. Like the Dominion pack, Robert, I also disagree that it is at all good.
It's a root beer. It's good. I didn't have many options for tonight.
Yes, if you have literally nothing else, it's good enough. That is correct.
There we go.
That is an excellent metaphor for the Dominion pack.
So I tip my Kirk cup to you, Tucker, as I sip upon my A&W.
Okay. Also, we don't have time to talk about it, but guys, they played spring trading games. Baseball's actually back.
Hurrah!
Yay! Okay.
It's a tough time for baseball.
You know what's interesting actually is looking at the odds, Vegas odds of win and loss records.
And
They just have some strange teams grouped around 81. So they had the Blue Jays, the Seattle Mariners, the Twins, and the Giants all within like 81, 82 wins. And I think those teams are not at all aligned on their future prospects.
That's probably
Well,
true. But we shouldn't
Giant-
talk. We shouldn't talk about that now because we have an entire Ferengi faction pack to get through, and there's so much to talk about.
that is true.
Okay, so we're just gonna jump right into it, starting off with Lurin's Bird of Prey. It is a 18-point Ferengi and Klingon dual class ship. Once again, removing one more argument I have for why Faction Pure is stupid, because this was one of my favorite examples. But you win some, you lose some. It's got the Burrell stat line of 4133. It is Tech Weapon Crew, the best possible upgrade bar. Got the Cloaker bar of Evade, Lock, Cloak, Sensor Echo, and its ability reads, Combat phase, if there is an opposing ship in the primary firing arc of this ship, and the primary firing arc of another Ferengi ship with another Ferengi captain equipped to it, target that friendly ship. This ship attacks first this game round, and the target ship attacks second this game round. All for 18 points.
So
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So my dream scenario for this card is two players to have Lurin's Bird of Prey and to have a accompanying Federation ship, but one player also to have Romulan Commander.
What?
Well, and it's an initiative is going to carry the day.
And initiative will carry the day.
Actually, initiative will lose the day because the person with initiative has to activate this first, and then the second person, their ability will override the first person's.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, are we sure that's how it works?
Do we know that abilities override other fleets' abilities, or are abilities universal?
I mean, I would assume that the latest timestamp would apply. I can't imagine another possible way of resolving this.
I think it's just initiative.
Yeah, whoever has initiative goes first with their attacks.
Oh, I see what you mean, because they both have to quote-unquote go first, then you just proceed in initiative order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But this is besides.
That's burying the lead.
That's very late, yeah. But despite that, I think this goes more to my theory that the captain skill doesn't matter as much in this game. That we're getting more ways around captain skill, and that's good for the game.
Especially because it's worth pointing out the other Ferengi ship has to have a Ferengi captain, but this one doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Joseph, what are your thoughts on the card?
I think that it is close to perfect. It's a strong ability that you have to fly well to use. So the reason I say that is it's going to let you attack first, but it's not going to let you move last, depending on what captain you put on there. And if you put on the highest captain skill captain, then that's kind of a waste, right?
Right.
So you've got to make sure that those arcs are lined up. They've still got the chance to dodge out of your arcs when they move after you.
But let me throw this idea at you. Remember in Worlds, geez, I can't remember who it was. Who was it that had that really clever Defiant with Ronald Moore as the captain?
And it was really cheap, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Peter played him. I didn't play him.
But this could be that ship.
So what was the essence? What was the essence of that ship?
The essence of that ship is what you would do is it was the Defiant, and it used upgradeds and Type 8s, obviously. And what it did was it ran Ronald Moore as its captain, so he could disable Ronald Moore immediately, so that he could get the full benefit from Hood Riker.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
And you could do that here for less than 30 points. And with Cloak, you'd be rolling, what is that, 8 defense dice with, I think, 2 battle stations conversions?
But that Defiant, because it was was it the Fed Defiant?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I'll buy it. That's a lot of defense dice. That's for darn sure.
So, and actually, Tucker, you bring up something I think we'll see more of as well. Is I think we're going to see Hood Riker on cloak ships.
Yes.
Very possibly.
And I think again, cloaking is going to make a resurgence, and this would be a good example.
Possibly, but that's getting a little off topic.
Oh, what about this for Fuselage?
I don't like it. I want a higher attack ship for Fuselage.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's fragile.
Yeah, that too.
But you're attacking first, right? You execute Fuselage, you get all your attacks.
If all the conditions are met. If they're not, then you've put Fuselage on a ship that may well just die.
Maybe. All right. So we're calling it. I think this is nationals worthy kind of ship.
Well, you want to talk about nationals worthy? Let's look at the next ship, which is the generic Bird of Prey. It is a 4132 tech weapon crew, cloaker action bar, 13 points. 4 attack, 13 points.
Joseph, you're running 10 of these?
10 of these would beat a lot of really good fleets, but I think that I think this is the standard of the faction pack, and I think this is a great faction pack. So that I think this might be the strongest faction pack and starter or starter of them all. And I think its main use will be as a one of, and it's just a super cheap support ship that has 4 attack dice.
Yeah, and what I like seeing from this is I am currently toying with the strategy that you have 3 pools of points. You have a 45-point ship, a 45-point ship, and a collective 40 points for what you want to do. And I could see using this either 2 or 3 of them to sort of make up that support ship group to help my bigger capital ships. So I think they're probably the cheapest, best ships in the game right now.
I mean, I really would just run 10 of these because of the simple fact that... So I've mentioned a few times on this show, for Collective OP2 for Battle of Wolf 359, I ran a, God, it was 6 or 7 ship fleet? I don't remember anymore. But long story short, one of the advantages of that fleet is it takes forever to manipulate 10 ships. So if you can get a point lead in like 2 or 3 turns, you're probably going to win because this may only be a 4-turn game.
Yeah, that's true. Games get short when you fly 6 ships.
Mm-hmm.
Games get scarily short. So 10 ships is.
Wow, that's 40 attack dice against the board.
I don't even know if you could get a Borg ship in. Maybe the big Borg cube.
On the other hand, it dies horrendously fast to cloak mines.
Well, you just don't cloak. But
it still dies pretty fast to cloak mines.
And it dies horrendously fast to everything else if it's not cloaked.
That's also true. All right.
I am a little surprised to hear Joseph say this is the best card in the pack. But what's the next ship that we have, Tucker?
It's 13 points.
13 points, yeah. 13 points for 4 attack dice. I mean, that's by the old pricing scheme. If attack dice were priced by the old pricing scheme, that would make every other stat on this ship worth less than 1 point.
True.
Anyway, Prax Marauder is the thing we have next. Okay, so this one's a bit of a mouthful. It's a Decora 3143, follows the new pricing scheme at 21 points. Has the Decora bar of evade, lock, scan, upgrades their tech weapon crew. And this one says, action, target a tech or weapon upgrade equipped to an opposing ship within range 1 to 2. Each player rolls 5 attack dice. If you roll more battle stations than the controller of the target upgrade, steal the target upgrade, even if it exceeds the ship's restrictions.
So I saw this as a Blood Oath Light. The good thing that this has that Blood Oath doesn't is it resolves ties in favor of the defending ship, which Blood Oath probably should have incorporated. And it's an interesting ability, but I think it's really surpassed by what we're going to see with Smuggler in this game. So I don't think there's really a place for this ship to be played.
I don't think it cuts the mustard. It's probably the 6th worst Decora. For what it's worth, as a positive, I do like it a little better than Blood Oath because it's not an effect. It's not a dramatic swing, and eventually you are going to steal some stuff, right? If you activate this 3 times, you're going to steal 1 or 2 things, most likely, right? So you can plan around that a little bit more than Blood Oath, which is just activating once. It's also range 1 to 2, so there's some maneuvering involved there. But for what it's worth, as a con, I would never play this ship. Just out of good form.
I would never play this ship on principle because I despise this entire mechanic.
That's right. That's exactly what I mean.
You know what I wish they would do for these mechanics, and I've seen some games do this, is incorporate a token that's not in the game. Like it literally says flip a coin, and then they don't provide a coin to anybody, and they just sort of expect everybody to have a coin.
You want that to happen?
Because it's...
Maximize the frustration of the mechanic.
Yes, exactly.
Well, you're a terrible person.
Roll a 33-sided die.
Moving on, we're going to skip the generic Marauder and come back to it in a second in favor of Solox Marauder, which says it's a Decora. It costs 1 less point, has the same stat and action bar as the last one. Costs 1 less point at 20. Tech weapon crew. When the ship performs a 3 maneuver, basically that isn't a reverse or a come about, this ship may perform a white maneuver. If it does, it rolls -1 attack die this game around. So just as a reminder, the white maneuvers on a Decora are 2 banks and turns, 3 straight, 3 bank, and 4 straight. Joseph, why is this not horrible?
What? This is... When James Kirk said, just give me a good ship and a star to guide her by, this is the ship that he was thinking of.
Steer her by, thank you.
that's petty, Tucker. That's awfully
That's
petty.
that's from one. It's a quote from one of my very favorite poems.
So you're thinking the -1 attack die is what makes it bad, right?
No, I'm thinking the poor maneuver selection. And you have to do a 3. Keep in mind that hard 3s on Decoras are red maneuvers. So
doing a hard 3 left and then a hard 3 and then a 3 bank right. I mean, think of how much space. Think of where you end up.
well, it's
Yeah,
fast.
Okay, if this let me let me break it down this way. If the essence of the game is predicting where your opponent's ships are going to be and moving your ships to take advantage of that, is there another ship in this game that throughout the course of a game is less predictable than this one?
What's that Romulan one that moves after you attack?
The 608, and that's about it. That's a 1. It does a 1 forward. That Romulan ship.
What? No, it does a 2 bank.
Oh, the Surin.
Yes, that's the one.
Oh, okay. So even you can predict where the Surin is. It's just going to move away from you, though, right? But this is, I mean, this could be anywhere. This could be all over the map.
So you like it?
I love it. It's the best Decora.
What?
Everyone with good form, which is going to be mentioned a lot.
Okay. Hang on.
Fly, Solox, Marauder.
Whoa,
That's the Marauder for people with good form.
Then our fighting words, good sir. My one glove is coming off.
Back up. I am willing to accept that this is a strong Decora, but Robert, do a compare contrast here between Solox Marauder and Goss's Marauder.
We will save Goss's Marauder for when it comes out. I will address Solox on 2 grounds.
Didn't we?
One, I flew Solox Marauder quite a bit until I discovered Goss's Marauder. I guess Goss's Marauder isn't even this pack, which is so crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think we already reviewed it.
We did review it. So we all need to go back and provide extreme mea culpas to all of our listeners for one of the largest misses in all of Star Trek Attack Wing recording.
Yes.
Goss's Marauder is, I think, game-breaking. And not in a good way.
I don't have to issue a mea culpa because I knew it was good. I just wasn't telling people.
Well, thanks, Joseph.
You were keeping it under your hat. I think Joseph is doing a little sleight of wrist on history, gaslighting, if you will. But so I like Solox Marauder. I always really enjoy the double movement. Before getting to Goss's, the other thing that actually hurts Solox Marauder is another card in this pack, and that's Chemicide. Because it's actually hard to do a 3 maneuver with Chemicide. And I just don't think that it would. I think Chemicide's going to be on most ships now, and I think that actually diminishes the power of a Solox Marauder.
But can't you use Chemicide on the second maneuver it gets?
No, because Chemicide is on the revealed maneuver, and you don't reveal the second maneuver.
Well, let me issue a counterpoint. Chemicide is great on Solox Marauder, and here's why. Because you get to dial in a 1, so you can slow roll. You see what your opponent does. If they make a mistake, which they always do because they don't have good form, you turn it into a 3, and then you blast forward and do another maneuver and crush them.
Okay, hang on a second. Can we talk about some of the assumptions that are being made here?
They are rock solid. The assumptions are rock solid.
As I like to point out, Joseph's subjectivity is objective to everybody else.
Sure. All right. But I do concede that this with Chemicide really does let you control. We'll get to Chemicide, but this really does let you control what range the initial round of engagement takes place in.
For that one ship. For just Solox Marauder.
Yeah, but if it's carrying...
And it's rolling -1 if you execute that ability.
If it's carrying like Second of 5 or Projected Stasis Field or something, that's really important.
No, because then you're using Quantum Slipstream with Chemicide. So you're not using... Solex Marauder.
Okay, all right, whatever. This is a silly argument, and we have other ships to talk about.
Yeah, and so Solex Marauder was really good, and it was a prime Decora. I was fine until we rediscovered or discovered for the first time Gauss Marauder's ability. And I think we will be talking much more about Gauss's Marauders as Nationals and Worlds come up. So maybe we'll save the conversation for that. But every player needs to spend a long time thinking why Gauss Marauders is not in their fleet.
Okay.
Gauss's Marauder is a crutch. Moving on. No time to unpack that. Let's go.
Okay, but in all seriousness, like Gauss's Marauder is also not in this pack, so we should probably stop talking about it. But we can talk about Gauss's Shuttle.
Well, should we talk about a 16-point generic Decora?
Oh, we should talk about that. There's a 16-point generic Decora. They're actually two. They're the same mechanically, but they have different arts, which is interesting.
So you know what's awesome, by the way,
What?
is with this. I don't know. I guess you couldn't. I was gonna say you could run 3. You now have 2 generic cards because you should have picked up the Decora card pack. So you actually have. Never mind. I'm gonna stop talking. My point is lost. So.
Okay. Right. Anyway, so Gauss's Shuttle. I ruined my amazing segue. I was very proud of that segue, and then it just got ruined. It's okay, whatever. It's a Ferengi shuttle, so stat line is straight 2s. Looking at evade scan, tech, crew, 12 points, and it says other ships within range 1 to 2 cannot be removed from the play area unless they are destroyed. This is a very feeble attempt at countering warp jump. Robert, why is it not going to work?
You're not going to be able to launch a shuttle into range 2 of a ship that has warp jump.
Especially under the new rules.
Especially under the new rules. And I just don't think this is a good solution. The other thing is most true multi-warp jumping fleets are going to have cloaked mines. So then you're deploying the shuttle into the cloaked mines if you're trying to stop them at all, which is just going to cause the shuttle to die. So any good player who's using multiple warp jumps is going to be able to stay out of the range of this or not be in a danger zone when the shuttle is launched.
Yeah. Joseph?
Yeah, under the old rules, I think it would have had the range to get there. Cloaked mines or no. Warp jump ships normally have at least one more trick other than warp jump 2. So the problem is that in the combat round, this shuttle is almost certain to be destroyed. If the warp jump ship isn't destroyed, then, you know, it's got you nothing but 12 plus lost points. So it's interesting. I kind of do wish it had have been around under the old rules because I think it would have been a really interesting dynamic with warp jump. But 4 points isn't enough for of a difference to justify not taking Quark's treasure either.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's also worth bringing the generic Ferengi shuttle into this discussion, which is 2221 for 8 points. Even at half the price of Quark's treasure, it's still not worth it. And at 12 points, this ability just doesn't work. Just there's no reason to run this over Quark's treasure.
Right. And that's my great insight. Joseph, after your coughing fit, do you have anything to add?
It's just removed as well, right? So I don't think anything blinks. Oh, there's a bioship one that blinks into range 3, right?
Fluidic space, and it's actually into range. Yeah, it's within range 2.
Doesn't even stop that. I mean, if it was placed as well, and you could fly it along, that would be interesting.
It would stop inversion wave, which is interesting.
It does stop it. Well,
it says it can't be removed, but it doesn't say it can't be placed.
That's what I mean. It can't stop you from inversion waving into range 1. In other words.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the final I mean, just to touch, I guess, briefly on the generic, you're getting cargo hold on it. 8 points still isn't. You're probably still saving more points on Quark's treasure, and you're probably getting way more out of cargo hold on Quark's treasure than you are on any of these other shuttles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I think just a unusual number of points and too few slots to really consider docking it to get any value from it.
Yeah. Well, 25 points. I'd still take Quark's treasure.
Although, what if you did this? What if could you run 2 ships at 50 and 2 generic Ferengi shuttle to get those like additional 10 points on each ship? All right, so now your fleet is just 2 60-point ships.
It's 2 57-point ships.
50, right, yeah, 2 57-point ships.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not a bad point because I don't think it's good just with the raw numbers, but it might be if you can find something that breaks at 57 points, then it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything you can think of that breaks at 57?
Well, powers up Sutherland for certain.
There are a lot of ships that I have built in my day and cursed the heavens because they've, come to 53 points or something like that. So they're out there. And you know what? A Riemann and a Scimitar do get better. 7 extra points on a Riemann is a big difference.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's a very big difference.
And that's probably true of bioships. Not as true because they don't have the crew slot, but
well, maybe you have something like Waters or Core, or not Core, but you have a cheap captain that gives the crew slot, and then you have a cheap but better captain like a Ferengi captain on the shuttle that comes over with the Gold Press Platinum.
All right, so let's go ahead and I think that's about all there is to say about the shuttles, right?
Yes.
Okay, then let's go ahead and start looking at some of the captains in this pack. Starting.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second, please, before we start talking about each of the captains?
Yes.
I want to get it on the table. Each of these captains comes with Gold Press Platinum. The simple fact that they come with Gold Press Platinum makes them immensely playable, and I don't want us discussing that factor with each and every single one of them.
Yes, that's true. It's actually probably a good idea to talk about that a little bit at the beginning. So Gold Press Platinum has been spoiled long since. We know what it does. And you can look at each of these cards that come with it as essentially having, I think everybody except, what's his name, Berta comes with 2. So, yeah, everybody but Berta comes with 2, and Berta comes with 3. So essentially, every captain in this pack can get 2 free battle stations, if nothing else. And that's amazing.
Counterpoint. Gold Press Platinum tokens do the same thing on every captain they're on. So these compare to other Gold Press Platinum tokens and other Ferengi tokens, captains rather, because they can get rules of acquisition just on the virtue of their text.
Yes.
Their other text. Yes,
compared to other Ferengi captains, that's correct. But we're saying compared to captains in general.
Like, I think, as an example, I think Young Core actually is now taking a backseat to Ferengi captains.
Well, you think that only because you have bad form.
Oh my god.
Because that's crazy.
All right, so let's talk about some actual captains in this pack, starting with Prak. See what I did? No one? Okay, whatever. He gets 2 tokens. He's skill 6, cost 4, 1 elite talent, range 1 to 2, activation phase, spend a latinum and target an opposing ship. The controller of the target ship chooses one of the following: repair 1 damage to the ship's hull or shields, or the target ship cannot perform actions this game round. Now, one important question in considering this is if the target ship has not taken damage, or if this ship has not taken damage, can the target choose the repair? Because that radically affects how good this card is. Robert, you're a TO. What would you say?
Okay, actually, my question to you is the one of the following repairing a ship, a hull, or a shield? Is that one or the other? And therefore you lose your perform action capability? Or is it that you must choose to repair something or choose to lose your perform ability?
Okay, so it's bulleted points, so it's pretty obvious. Basically, the opponent chooses either Prax ship repairs or the opponent's ship can't take actions.
Let's see. No, well, not the opponent ship, but the target ship.
Yeah, and you're targeting an opposing ship.
Man, I would like to think that if you can't do one, you have to do the other. And isn't this kind of the SETI's eel argument?
I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
Well, the SETI eels argument, where there's 3 choices for someone to pick, but sometimes you can't actually select one of the 3 choices. So.
Oh, right, yeah. But it says a ship in arc, so you can't select a ship.
Right, or like if a ship didn't have a captain, or a captain was already disabled.
But if I have Glindaro and no damage to my ship, I can use his action, just nothing happens.
I guess that's true. That's actually that's a very valid point.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, what's the alternative?
Can you ever be prohibited from using an action that simply squanders the ability that you selected?
Well, I can't target a ship. Like, I can't target a ship. Okay, hang on. So remember how I was talking about how all of those ganking cards actually target the opponent's ship, right? You remember that?
Yeah, with Mizzati.
Let me actually pull up Second of 5 here because I think this is a good example. Yeah, so Second of 5 says target a ship at range 1 to 2, discard this card, and 1 upgrade of your choice on the target ship. Can I target a ship with no upgrades? Can I just waste Second of 5 that way? I don't know that I can.
Well, okay. My question is, so what would happen if you?
Oh wait, didn't we just get a ruling on this too?
Yeah, I feel like we did.
think Steven posted something about the Romulan guy who forces people to choose an action, and he said it must be a valid action.
Yeah, but
it is a valid action. There's no. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you have spells and magic that can fizzle, but there's a rule.
Yeah, but then you take a mana burn, Joseph, because that's how old school people play the game.
What?
Well, not in this millennium.
That's actually sad and true.
Is it? When did mana
Okay,
burn?
You know what? No.
1845.
No.
1845. They stopped using mana burn.
That was the Great Banking Crash you're thinking of. Anyway, the point is, we need to move on. So I think it's safe to say that if they can choose the repair, this card is not that great. If they have to choose the no actions, this card is quite potent.
Oh, no, it's not quite potent because it's activation phase, so it's pre-movement. So you have to be within range 1 to 2 before you move your ships.
Yeah, that's heavy.
That's true.
And if they're always going to pick a hull or a shield, let's say you have damage, you can spend that Latinum token for an evade.
Right. So there's better ways to use your gold plus Latinum in that position.
It seems to be like it would almost be. It's not quite strictly better because there could be an activation phase attack, but it's darn close.
Yeah, not the best captain in the pack.
He's unusable. He has no honor.
Joseph, the list of things you think have no honor is, as far as I can tell, seemingly unending.
Well, I'm not on it.
Oh, because He can only.
That's one thing. That's one thing that's not on it. Worf's not on it.
Which version?
The whole guy.
He's saying that Worf has honor. You see.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the
What's our next Captain Tucker?
namesake of the greatest Decora of them all.
Damon Solak.
There we go.
Only
Solak's
because Goss is
Marauder.
not in this pack.
Okay, all right, whatever. So, Damon Solak is a 4-skill, 2-point Ferengi captain. And is this the first independent 2-point talent holder?
It might be.
I think it's certainly the first independent 4-skill 2-point, right?
Wow, I do not remember any. I'm sure the Gorn captain does not have a slot. You continue
Gorn
on.
Commander does, but
Yeah,
I
but he's
think
3
he's
points.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Well, that's cool. He gets 2 Latinum, which is also awesome. So when you start the game, you also place 2 crew upgrades, each with a cost of 3 SP or less, face down beneath the card. Spend a Latinum to flip one up from RFG the other one. So he's one of these cards like Wesley Crusher or DNA encoded messages that is hypothetically supposed to be used for sort of a sideboard tactic. Shinzon's another one. But in general is used to make things cheaper.
Yeah, we Joseph and I have sideboarded actually with this using another card from here, which is Grillock, Grillcup, because if somebody else is running gold pressed Latinum synergy builds, then Grillcup is a good disruption to those types of builds. But I can't actually remember the other card we paired with her in that situation, which shows you how feeble of an attempt we put into trying to make it work.
Yeah, there are some. I mean, the second crew that you put in is always going to have some utility. Like, there's going to be some matchup where you're like, this is a silver bullet, I want it. But by and large, you're doing it for one specific crew that you want to save points on and save slots on to make things cheaper.
And it's good. He costs 2 points. He's cheap. 2 points for cold press Latinum is fantastic. He gives you an additional crew. And because we have things like Lorne's Bird of Prey, that captain skill is not as detrimental as it used to be.
It's pretty detrimental.
It's pretty detrimental. I mean, so Robert has gotten into the habit of playing very low skill captains
And winning.
As a hedge against me.
Right, because I don't race that game. I don't play that game with Joseph.
That's right. So it's just every captain skill, every point I spend on captain skills above 5, wasted point.
Above 7, but yeah, that's pretty much true.
Yeah,
that's why this guy is going to be my go-to.
Yeah.
This guy is not going to be your go-to.
This next guy.
Who? Berta?
Yeah. I just segued for you.
Yeah, you did. Let's talk about him. So Berta is 8 skill, 5 points, unique talent, gets 3 Latinum. He's range 1 to 3, and he says, planning phase, spend 1 Latinum and target a captain equipped to another ship. Increase or decrease the target captain's captain skill by 2 this game round. So Joseph, talk about why you like him so much.
Well, I let the segue dictate my speech there, but there are some things I like about him. But what it really comes down to, before I get into that, is that decrease or increase a continuous effect?
I'm not sure why. Why does that matter?
Well,
it says this game round.
How does it impact Gen Con, let's say? How does it impact something that has Comp Station?
I thought we agreed that it's replace then modify.
Well, if this is a continuous effect, I mean, do we even have a language for how those? And actually, it's not for certain replace then modify. That's just a general rule, which means that exceptions are certain.
My understanding is that Gen Con now has a replace and modify ability.
I think he does actually, and I'll tell you why. I think that the rule against infinite loops in the tourney rules actually makes that possible. Now the question is, are you going to go by the old Worf ruling that says he still replaced and modify?
Wait, there's a Worf ruling out there that specifically says he's replaced then
No,
modify?
I'm sorry. He says that specific.
It's modify then replace.
That's what the old right.
If you have an admiral or a fleet captain or whatever, it affects his captain skill 6, and then his ability will overwrite that, and it's not added on.
Correct, but then the new rule book says it is now replace then modify. That's a new rule book.
As a general rule, it says.
Yeah.
So if you're going to create something that's always supposed to apply, you say this is how this works. You don't say players as a general rule should replace before modifying.
I can't answer that question because I think by saying a general rule that there would be an exception listed on a card that would change that general rule. Like I think it's superfluous language
in the rule book.
Yes. I know how weird that sounds, but yes.
Okay. Well, so obviously then it's a question. It impacts them because there's a lot of different ways now to alter your captain skill. So we need to know just how he sequences in with those. If he works on those, then I think he is valuable because it's an actionless way to get your guys the first attacks. If you're facing a rival con and you have a high captain skill and a con of your own and you knock their con down and that works, that's great.
Well, remember also with replace and modify and initiative now, cons will have competing captain skills. We'll have uneven captain skills.
Gen cons will have different captain skills?
Yeah, because when there's initiative, if you have initiative, your Gen Con tests, and then it will modify. It will replace to the highest. It will modify by your Admiral, which is +2. So now it's your highest +2. Then my Gen Con will test because I'm second, and then I will see your Gen Con, which is highest +2. So I take that number, and then if I have a modifier, then my skill will go up higher than your Gen Con.
No.
What?
That's definitely not true.
How is that not true?
That's absolutely not true because we don't know how there are assumptions you could have that could make that true, but those are, I think, pretty big assumptions.
The only assumption I need is that the rulebook says, generally speaking, you replace then modify.
Right, and I'm saying that's a big assumption.
That's a big assumption that the rulebook tells me how the cards work together.
No.
Okay, I'll look. In the interest of time, this is a argument that can become as circular as the Gen Con loop itself might possibly be. So leaving the Gen Con issue aside, which I will concede is an issue, what do we think about this card besides that?
He is good for giving you the edge. So 13 is the highest captain skill we can get right now. There are ways with Riker he can get to 11, so he can essentially bring any captain equal to him, which means at worst he's getting simultaneous attack. That I think is as an old pro of the captain skill game, that is a relevant ability. I don't know if he's great, but he requires consideration when you're building because of that.
Robert?
I'm not a huge fan of him, but that's also because I don't put a premium on captain skill as much. And I think because the highest is kind of that 12, 13 range, if you're looking at Captain Skill 11, you might as well be playing Captain Skill 7, right? Because if you're not at that 12, 13 marker, I just don't think the cost benefit for trying to push to 11 and then losing out to a 12 and 13 justifies it. So that's my opinion. I also actually like that it's a modifier of 2 because of the rule of 3. So if something already gives your crew or your other captain a +2, such as an admiral, what else gives +2? Garrick gives +1. Is it Riker that gives a +2, or is he a +3?
Garrick gives +2.
No, he's +2. Okay, yeah. So I just like that it's +2. It goes well with that new Gorn crew that we saw, which we'll be talking about in some later show. So I like him. I just think getting to Captain Skill 11 is in many ways wasted points in the game right now.
All right. Well, we'll agree to disagree on that and move on to. This is the last captain in the pack. Yes, he's also an admiral.
And man, he looks disgusting.
Yeah, what a great photo.
Yeah. He is a 3-point admiral. He's +0 as an admiral, and he's 2 as a captain. So he's a 3.2 skill captain. But he has 2 talent slots, but he can only equip the Grand Nagus and Rules of Acquisition upgrades. And you give him 2 gold plus platinum. But he says when you would spend 1 or more gold plus platinum, you may roll a number of defense dice equal to the number of gold plus platinum that would be spent. For each evade, spend 1 fewer platinum. Now, this isn't a fleet ability, so this is only going to work with the ship he's on, even as an admiral.
Au contraire, take a look at the texts. They're different.
Dude, let me go grab my binder.
Can you? Yeah. What are you seeing? Because I actually don't have a close-up version of this card. I haven't gotten the pack yet.
When a friendly cap... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joseph.
The captain says when you would spend 1 or more platinum tokens, and the admiral says when a friendly captain would spend 1 or more platinum tokens.
Goodness. Okay. Well, that's actually amazing.
New precedent set for admirals.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh boy, that's a spicy meatball right there. Why are you laughing? It's totally true.
I agree. I just like the look of him. I must not have seen the episode of Deep Space Nine he was in. I have no idea who this guy is.
This is the guy who invented the rules of acquisition.
Ooh, that's sweet.
And he was the first Grand Nagus. That's why he gets those 2 talents.
Yeah.
And he's still alive?
No.
Wormhole magic.
Yeah.
God damn it, I hate that wormhole.
Best thing ever.
Oh, I'm not even a little bit surprised that Joseph feels that way. Like, not even a little bit.
What more noble creature out there are there than the prophets?
No, they're not creatures.
We don't actually know whether they're creatures or not.
They're sentient life forms. Unless you define life form meaning that one has to die.
Oh, it's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Anybody remember that?
Yes.
It's the Devil in the Dark.
Well, I was actually referencing a very old novelty song.
Yeah. So,
trekking across the universe.
Boldly going forward because we can't find the reverse.
Yeah, no, it's on the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk, Star trekking across the universe, boldly going forward.
Can I soapbox while Tucker finishes his song?
I finished my song, so no.
Okay, damn.
You can soapbox.
I will soapbox. I am frustrated, I guess, that every captain in this faction pack and every Ferengi captain in the Decorum pack have talent slots. The only one that doesn't is Gend, who can still take talents. And
he has talent slots on his card. It's just he can only take those.
No, you're looking. I think you're looking at the. Does the card image actually have 2 talent slots on the bottom?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Look at that. So, I always felt talents were to recognize great captains, and I feel everybody gets talents now, and I just feel like it's watering down.
You're just bitter that the Dominion doesn't get talents.
Well, actually, I'm bitter that Data doesn't get a talent slot.
Data gets a
The new Data, right?
The new Data,
Oh.
yeah.
I know. Isn't that expletive deleted?
Yeah.
Man, I had something coming together so well until I realized he didn't have a talent
So
slot.
thank you very much for not making me have to go in and manually delete that expletive, because that's actually kind of a pain to do.
Well, I'm going to take a step back here, and maybe I'll have to delete this, which is this. As a final note on that wormhole, the occupation of Bajor was justified. No time to unpack that. Let's move on.
You really like saying that, whether it's true or not. You really like saying that.
Someone asked us.
Soapboxing as to get how many times can you use his ability in a turn? Because it's a May issue, correct?
So
Once.
one.
I guess. And do you put the fleet? I guess what you do is you take the fleet action token and place it next to the ship that used his ability.
No, it's not a fleet action.
But you use
cares?
that token to identify the ship.
Or you
as-
just remember that you did it. It's not hard.
No, I'm just. But I'm just right.
You can't put the fleet token down. That's cheating.
Right,
That's
but
forfeit.
Why is that cheating?
because it's not
Because it's to show that you took a fleet action, which you didn't do. So you're trying to trick your opponent for some
you took a fleet ability.
weird reason.
Oh, actually, let me look. Let me see. Did a fleet action token come with the box?
Okay, this is a stupid argument.
This is necessary. Agreed.
This is
I might have thrown it away.
Let's
but
get-
I don't know.
great. Okay, let's talk about the next card on the list, which is Grilka, a Klingon upgrade, and one of my favorite characters in the show. Trivia. I seriously enjoy Grilka. You do not pay a faction penalty when equipping this card to a Ferengi ship, which I think is adorable. And opposing effects that cost 1 or more Latinum cost +1 Latinum. Now, minor soapbox for me. I think this effect should have been on the guy that was trying to cheat her in this episode, because part of the whole point of this episode is she didn't understand finances. But I'm very glad this effect is in the game. And as I always say, 1 point crew is always playable. Robert, you were talking about sideboarding earlier, so tell me. Or wait, was that you or Joseph?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay, great. Talk.
She's a great card to toss under Solok because the ability to have somebody pay an additional gold press Latinum can really mess with whatever mechanic they're building. If they're trying to recur a card, and through gold press Latinum, it just became 1 more expensive. And something I find a little frustrating is if I want to recur a warp jump on a Ferengi ship, that costs me 6, now 7, so there's an 18% increase in the cost that I pay to recur that card. But if I want to add a battle station, instead of paying 1 gold press Latinum, I pay 2, so there's a 100% increase in the cost that I have to pay. So I find that mechanic a little weird, but it is what it is. So it can really break combos, which I like.
Combo breaker. Sorry.
What's all I have on it?
Joseph?
I wish she had independent faction, because realistically, in a lot of fleet, she's going to be 2 points, and that starts to get onerous. Whereas 1 point, you almost can always find a space for her to tuck her in. And as a matter of fact, she's 2 points. Oh no, because she doesn't pay a faction penalty because she's so cute. That's right. But there are a lot of fleets where she's going to be 2. Other than that, I'll just echo. She's a sideboard card, and I think a pretty good one.
All right.
And actually, specifically, 8 seems to be a very common number that you can get to with Ferengi tokens. Captains come with 2, and then rules of acquisition give you 6.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. 8. It's a little awkward because that's still. Well, no, it's 7 points. That's Joseph. Come on, Get this right. It's 7 points for warp jump, and then it would be 2 points to use the token, so they don't actually get to use it for any tokens in the combat phase.
Yeah, unless you have Gint.
Unless you have Gint. Oh man, he's good.
Well, we'll get to him, but first we got to get through some other people. Next is
Gint was who we just did.
Gint was the Admiral.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Grawl, I think. Anyway, let's talk about this. How do you even say this? Gregus?
Gigas?
There's no R in it.
Oh, you're right. Why did I think there was an R? Whatever. So basically what he does, he's a 3-point Ferengi crew, range 1 to 2, action, place 2 time token upgrades on this car and target a tech or question mark upgrade equipped to another ship. Place 3 time tokens on the target upgrade. So, question mark upgrades. Joseph, what's the implication of this?
Well, there is a very small subset of upgrades that are hard to interact with, and 2nd of 5 is probably the only card that can do it. So now he can do that. Systems upgrade is a question mark, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one that came to my mind.
So that's probably the most prominent one because you lose the shield and then you don't get it back when the time tokens disappear.
Well, I mean, only
Unless
if they're
you're playing the Equinox.
only if they're at max shields.
No, they don't get it back even if they're not
Well,
on max shields.
But they don't lose
They
it.
wouldn't
if they're
lose a
not.
shield.
Oh, they don't lose a shield, right? But you should be using your ganking effects leading into the first combat.
Yeah, it's range 1 to 2. Well, I guess we'll get to the issue of range 1 to 2.
Well, so my point, 1 to 2 limits it. I think it's a fringe card. I think that if it was tech or weapon, that it would be awesome. So it just the question mark gives it a niche value, but it's unfortunate because if it was weapons, you'd be very confident that it would have a use, and so you could just plug it in and use it. It'd have use against every fleet.
Yeah, the only things I have to add, I echo everything that Joseph said. I think the 2 things that stand out for me is he seems expensive for what we see in the rest of the pack and what the game has done with points. I'm curious why they picked 3 for this ability. And for 2 more points, you could go up to Smugglers, which is probably a better choice, because if you're running this card, and I'm saying this card because I don't want to try to pronounce the name, if you're running this card, you're probably running Ferengi anyway, or trying to get some ganking going on, and so you just upgrade and get into Smugglers.
Well, this is for tech. This is an A1.
Well, Smugglers targets tech though.
Yeah, I agree. Smugglers is good, but Smugglers is great, right? But it's also an elite talent, and it is 2 more points, and they can recur. Oh no, because Smugglers is a steal. But this is like this. I don't know. This would be. It's the question mark for me. Like this would be at almost as good. It would be arguably as good as 2nd of 5 if it was a little more broader. If it was weapons instead of question mark.
And you think the time to 2 time tokens, because it's not a discard effect, it's just 2 time tokens on that question mark.
No, you're putting 3 time tokens on.
Oh, on the target upgrade, yeah, 3 times.
And then you get, because this gets to recur, right? So that's
right. Oh, that's true.
Interesting. Yeah. And 3 times, two turns. That's a lifetime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially flying those 10 Burrells.
Yeah.
And now you don't have room. You don't have room for it.
Yeah. Well, not many against them.
9 Burrells.
9 Burrells and 1 question mark upgrade.
Yeah. And I don't know if I made the point clearly, which is that you can use Latinum tokens to recur something the 2nd of 5 discards almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
if it's got 3 tokens on it, the Latinum tokens aren't going to help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Like if I put 3 time tokens on a warp jump, you can't recur it, right? So
Right.
it's gone until the you gotta pay the iron price to get those off.
So this is Joseph's secret card that goes on Solok's Marauder.
No, I don't think so.
That's how you get into that range.
I think it's fringy because it has question mark instead of weapon.
You said 81 at one point, but anyway.
I said it would be if it's.
We're talking a lot for a fringe card.
All right. Yeah. Yes. We're getting wildly off track here. So as usual. So let's go ahead and move on to the guy I totally thought we were talking about earlier, who is Grawl. And Grawl is yet another 1 point Ferengi crew upgrade. He can only go on a ship with a Ferengi captain. And he says, end phase, discard this card or another crew upgrade equipped to the ship. Place 2 Latinum on the captain equipped to the ship. Robert, why does this card make you really angry? Caveat, I have had to listen to this for weeks, so now you all have to listen to it too. Go.
Well, let me tell you why I'm excited, because this card is silly good. It is 1 point, not only gets you 2 gold press Latinum for himself, but you pair it with Jennifer Sisko. And then you ditch Jennifer Sisko round 1, you get 2 gold press Latinum. And then you ditch him round 2, and you get 2 gold press Latinum. And then you spend 1 gold press Latinum to recur him, because he costs 1 to put on the ship. And then you discard him again. So you effectively spend 3 turns to get 5 gold press Latinum off of Grawl, if that's the direction you really want to go. The reason I vent towards Tucker is in the Decora pack, we got this wonderful card that costs 2, which says, at the end phase, if there's no opposing ship within range 1, discard this card, place 1 gold press Latinum token on the captain equipped to this ship. These cards came out 2 months apart from each other. I do not understand how they both got through without realizing that Grawl is infinitely better than the other card. And it is what it is. I know that they rely on a lot of people for designing cards, and not all those people get just compensation and are stressed out with other things in life. But I'm just amazed that these 2 cards got through, and one was so quickly replaced.
Well, I like it because it's a little something. It's a little something called progress, and I wish that Robert would let the past stay in the past. So I'm glad we got a much needed update, a timely update, and he is awesome.
So, a quick anecdote I will add to this is that Joseph and I were playing one night, and I brought out a fleet that I didn't exactly know when I built it, and it included coal, and we both just laughed at how inadequate that fleet was, and how the fleet just simply did not work with coal.
Go
ahead.
Which was typical for me when Robert presents his fleet, but not always what he does. Bam! Bam!
But yeah, so Grawl is amazing. For 1 point, if you're running a Ferengi captain, you don't necessarily need to run the rules of acquisition. You need to run Grawl. It's so easy to recur. And if you're running Jennifer Sisko in your fleet, run her with Grawl, and that's 4 gold press Latinum you get.
Or Sakona. Let's be real here. Is he strictly better than Cole? Is Cole end phase as well?
No. Well, he is end phase, and he cannot be within range 1 to 2 of an opposing ship.
So
he's only 1 gold press Latinum for a 2, and he costs you 2 fleet points, and this costs you 1 fleet point for 2 gold press Latinum.
So he is strictly better, unless getting 2 gold press Latinum would be bad somehow.
Which I can't. How would that even be bad?
You never know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. So next guy on our list is Par Lenner, who's a 3-point Ferengi crew, who says, "Oh God, it's this guy." All right.
Yeah, I think if you really want to know about this card, go look him up on Facebook.
All right. So basically, this card is a mess. What it's supposed to do is when you kill the ship he's on, you you can put him on the other ship, and you can spend latinum, and you can disable stuff. He becomes a saboteur. How this card is written and how this card is supposed to work is just a complete mess. Not the least of which is because he hot potatoes between ships. If you kill your opponent's ship with him on it, then he'll come back. It also creates really weird things about surviving fleets, and I don't even know.
That's my thoughts on it. Joseph, do you have anything to add?
Well, I had to very patiently explain how this card didn't work to the two of you, so I don't want to do that again.
No, God, and it took so long, and I don't even remember what we decided, and I just don't care anymore, you guys. I just don't care.
Okay.
Like, honestly, you want to know the best way to win worlds with this card?
Run him.
Get
suicide attack.
Get a point ahead and then kill time with it because the
Yes.
argument will last more than an hour.
Exactly. Exactly. And Robert can attest to this, right? Because you had a fleet that was with a way less complex action, which was that one crit and being on a planet, right? And
Yes.
that killed your entire round. So this guy...
I think Peter and I made it 4 rounds in that game.
Oh, boy.
Which was crazy because that's more than you usually get.
By half.
By the speed you
Or
play.
by double. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Stop. All right, moving on. We've got Nava, who's a somewhat disappointing prospect that really is famous for hitting Grand Slam in his first oh no, that's a different Nava. He is a 1-point Ferengi upgrade that says when a Ferengi crew upgrade would be discarded from the ship, place a latinum on the captain. He can only go with the Ferengi captain. Synergizes really well with Grawl. Yeah.
Not really well, because technically what you'd want to do is discard Nava first to get 2 from Grawl, and then discard 2 to get Grawl.
No, you'd want like a third 1-point crew on there, and then you'd get 3, or you recur a third crew and just get 3 every turn.
Yeah.
Well, it would be Quark would be the third one.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah,
no,
that works.
No. He wouldn't work with Grawl.
Yeah.
But he would work with Nava. That's true.
Okay, so hear me out. We take the Voyager. We take the Tiny Prize, and we take Ahab Picard, so we have 5 crew slots.
Robert?
Oh, we can't take Ahab Picard. Dang it. Is there an Admiral that gets a crew slot?
No. That would become pretty quickly basically the best Admiral in the game.
Yeah. Well, we'll work it out. 4 crew slots. We can make it happen.
5? 5's easy.
No, because we need a Ferengi captain. I guess you could do Riker. That would be one.
Yeah, you can definitely do it, and then the Klingon guys, the other one.
And then you dock a shuttle, and then you just start refilling the slots.
Yeah, we've done it.
Yeah.
But it's useless.
I can have 20
whatever. Just beauty does not answer to use. It's beautiful to get those 5 crew on that ship.
Okay, whatever. So this guy's okay, and synergizes well with other cards in this pack, and that's nice. Let's talk about Ledeck. So he is a 2-point Ferengi crew. It says action, discard this card, place an Ox. This ship rolls +2 attack dice this game round. Question, is this good enough? I don't think it is.
It's unplayable.
I'm with Joseph. It's not a strong card.
I agree with that. Now...
let's back up. We all agree if a card says action, get +1 attack, that is a inefficient card because your action can be getting a target lock or a battle station, which gives you more efficient quality.
Correct.
We have discussed getting an action get +2 can be borderline, depending how many dice you're rolling. However, +2 attack now is kind of limiting because of the rule of 3. And then to get the Ox token on top of that, and that the fact that the card's a discard, it just makes it not very quality oriented.
Yeah.
The only thing that he could, I think, that would push him over the top, and I think they try and do it here, is if Ox tokens became a resource. So for the T9 energy converter, which we'll get to, you want that Ox, right? But
or I was gonna say like the ISS Avenger. I guess that would hit rule of 3, but you see what I mean.
like if there was a crew, well, this crew would be too good, but if there's a crew that said remove an Ox token and reroll an attack dice for each Ox token you remove, then this guy becomes awesome. Right?
Is there
it would take it?
There's a card like that in X-Wing, right?
I'm sure there is. Or you get to reroll.
If you have, I think it's if you have an Ox or something. Yeah, I don't think it removes Oxes. It just tests if you have them.
Yeah. So something that is good for having Ox. Then this guy becomes interesting. But as of now, generally no, take tack. Pay the extra points for tax station. It's one a ship now. It's the new faith.
Yeah, and also I guess they think that you're not too worried about the Ox token because you can spend gold press platinum to remove the Ox token. But again, just spend the gold press platinum to get that battle station.
Yeah, you're not spending your gold press platinum to do that.
Hey, Tucker, did we skip the talents?
No, it's next.
No, it's coming up.
It's next. Okay.
Speaking of which is the rules of acquisition.
Discussed. Move on.
Invented by Gint, if you two were unaware.
What? I thought it was Zach.
Literally told you, whatever.
That's the history of Ferengi.
Oh my god, 5.1 per ship, can only go on a Ferengi captain, place 6 gold press platinum. It's amazing.
It's the engine of the new Ferengi.
It costs 4 with Lauren.
Yeah,
that's true.
Ooh, that's.
Oh, sorry. Need to go back and make a very important point. Can only go on a Ferengi captain or lore.
That is true. There's all sorts of questions about lore getting gold press platinum.
Yeah,
but
there's no question. He can get them.
Yeah,
that's true.
He has the greed of a Ferengi programmed into his neural network.
Or he will if he doesn't soon.
Yeah. Okay, Grand Nagus. I don't think we've actually talked about this talent, and I'm super interested to have a conversation about it. So
Grand Nagus, it's a reprint of an old talent with an updated lower cost. It can only go on a Ferengi captain. It's range 1 to 3, 2 points, and it says action: discard this card and target all friendly Ferengi ships. All target ships may perform a green maneuver. Robert, why do you want to talk about this?
So wait, what card is it? What card is it a reprint of?
Grand Nagus.
There's a talent out there called Grand Nagus?
Yes, there was. This exact talent came with a, I want to say, Quark's treasure? It was originally 5 points.
Okay. Because I think it's an awesome ability. This kind of... Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I guess I didn't care about it back in the past. But it just seems interesting.
It seems like it has potential, but as we all know, all Ferengi ships suck. Or do they?
Well, that's what we said back in the day, though.
Well, exactly. My point. Because all Ferengi ships suck then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with the Burrells. I think it's interesting if you can use something like Klingon Navigator, which makes red maneuvers green maneuvers. Or Klingon, what is it? Or is it Lasek? One of the Klingon cards makes red maneuvers green maneuvers. So that means everybody could do a green come about, which would be kind of cool.
Well, the maneuver has to be on their dial.
But it is on the Birds of Prey.
On the Burrell.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Oh, geez, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
That would do.
And
right?
and yeah, that's.
Well, and what isn't there a Romulan helmsman that makes all white maneuvers green too?
I don't think so.
No, he makes red white, but I don't think he makes.
Romulan helmsman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes red white. That's why he works so
Okay.
well on the scimitar.
Debatable. I know you California kids think that, but
Oh,
debatable.
we love them. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So I think it's the second. Anyway, so I think I feel that there's something you can do with this card. That's all. And so I wanted to know if you guys could think of anything, because I thought our brain trust could find at least something creative.
Look,
do.
look. If you take 9 Ferengi birds of prey, okay.
Like, wait, hang on 1 second. Isn't this how you get the shuttle?
Okay.
No, this
Here's
is how
how
you get Gus's shuttle into range 2 of a warp jumping ship.
No.
Yeah, because you launch it and then you Grand Negus
Oh.
it.
But this is how you get Quark's treasure into range 2 of a ship the turn you launch it.
This doesn't move. This ship doesn't get a green maneuver.
Right, that's why you have another ship that's a lower captain skill than Gus's shuttle or the Quark shuttle. And then this ship moves, it triggers, your shuttles move, and then your shuttles will be within range after you launch them to do what you want them to do. And it's a green maneuver, so even if they have an aux, you're going to clear the aux on that green maneuver.
Right, but I'm saying the shuttle might get into range, but this ship is not going to. So you're splitting up your fleet to do it. Just take Romulan pilot.
Yeah. But what if you have 2 shuttles? Because we talked about that.
Not for launching them, we didn't.
I'm just expanding on our conversation.
I would say that if you have bad form, then this is good for frittering your little Goss's Marauder somewhere out of arc so that it can steal something.
You're really
And if
on
you
this
have-
bad form kick right now, aren't you?
And if you have good form, then it gives an extra move to Solok's Marauder for getting an attack run lined up, or to gracefully elude your opponent's arcs.
Okay, so what if I have ion thrusters or something that increases the maneuver? So I use Grand Negus. Solok does a 3 forward because 2 is green. So if I push that to a 3, it will trigger. Solok's ability will trigger. And then when the ship moves, I can reveal a 3 maneuver again. And so I'll get 4 maneuvers on the ship in a turn.
How are you revealing more than 1 maneuver a turn?
Because the ship has to move itself, right? It's not when I reveal, it's when the ship performs.
What is?
Solok's Marauder. It's when a ship performs a maneuver.
Yeah, but it's once per turn.
Where does it say once per turn?
Because it's a May ability that doesn't have to do with an attack or a defend.
No, that's a good point.
Okay, now that we've finished that discussion, let's talk about photon torpedoes. Hey guys, remember back in the day when we could just skip every single photon torpedoes?
No longer.
Exactly. We got a 2-point photon here. Forward or rear arc makes the board cry. Range 1 to 3. The attack value is equal to the ship's primary weapon value. And, get this, attack. Place 2 time tokens on this card and target an opposing ship. Place an aux token beside the target ship. No hits, just do it. They're Nike photon torpedoes.
I feel like this card is like, when does a bear stop being a bear, or something of that nature?
What?
Like, are these really photon torpedoes? Because there's no reference to a target lock on them whatsoever.
It's the ship, Robert. They rebuild the ship.
What?
Oh, that's right.
The one on the shore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bear.
Well, no, I was meaning like, if you shave a bear, does it stop becoming a bear or something?
What?
But
No.
Anyway.
It becomes
What are you people talking about?
angry bear.
I'm talking about the fact that these are not photon torpedoes. Because
Okay.
They do not require a target.
Well, whatever the hell they good?
They're very good.
They're,
Are you kidding me?
they're borderline breaking game good.
Okay.
No, they're not that good.
All right.
Yes, they are.
All right. Right. Robert, make your case. Why are they borderline game breaking?
Because you put this on every ship. All right? Why this goes? Every ship's It's range 1 to 3, so there's no drawback in range 1 to 3. It's based on your primary weapon. So if you're running those the four primary attack type ships we're talking about, like the Burrells, it's perfect for those because now you're adding oxes to what you're normally doing. It takes complete advantage of all these reverse arcs that we have. What are we calling these? Secondary arcs that we have on ships that weren't able to use them, and it's still range 1 to 3. The big downside of old photon torpedoes is sometimes you'd be within range 1 on the secondary arc and they wouldn't work. It is just incredible how good these are.
Okay, Joseph, I actually find myself fairly convinced by that, so tell us why we're both wrong.
Counterpoint, idiots. If so, attacking with one of these is almost irrelevant because you're just limiting them to a green maneuver the next turn, which is not totally irrelevant, but it's close to irrelevant. If you're attacking something twice, then you're doing one or two things: committing to attacking it 3 times or just destroying it. If you destroy it, it's irrelevant. If you're attacking it 3 times, well, here's the difference between Robert and myself. If I attack a ship 3 times, it's dead. So, I agree.
Okay, counterpoint.
Let me finish. The secondary arc thing is excellent. This is an excellent card, but I don't think that it's not. To me, it's not a game-breaking card.
So counterpoint.
Oh my God.
This card is amazing against all of the attack cancellations we now have in the game. Because when I would normally attack your ship with 3 of my ships attacking it, such as Joseph's Hathaway, if you cancel one of those attacks, you're still getting that Ox token.
You're getting 2 Ox tokens.
Well, you're getting one. Oh, go ahead.
If you're getting 1, then who cares?
Right.
Right. If you're getting 2, yeah, then that's definitely is a good use. That's a good point. But counterpoint, that's still not close to game breaking, especially if their attack cancel is warp jump, which it almost invariably is, because then it's just going to clear the oxes off.
Counter.
Oh my God, no.
Okay, last point, and then we'll close because this is a decisive point, and Joseph will have to concede.
To be determined.
It breaks cloaking because even if your ship has excessive defense through something like Sulu or high cloaking, once you get those 2 or 3 Ox tokens next to your ship, that ship won't be able to have the same quality in future rounds.
Okay, so you're going to spend your first round spending 3 attacks on a cloaked ship, not destroying it.
But we've discussed that's already going to happen in the game. That's already happening.
What's already happening?
Making 3 attacks against a ship and it not dying. The Sutherland, the Equinox, trumped up Deitrix's.
No, that's not what we agreed to. We agreed that those ships make that possible, but you don't attack those ships 3 times.
But now you can, right? Because the whole idea is that's the only ship that you can that's the only ship that can be attacked, right? That's how you set it up. You set up the unkillable ship, so it's the only ship that people can attack, and your other ships are out there doing something. However, now I can drop 3 Ox tokens on your Sutherland, and it's not going to have the same quality the next round, for the next 2 rounds.
Right, so again, that's good. If they have warp jump, it's a minimal thing. So these are very good against unkillable ships. Usually unkillable ships.
Well, I can see, Joseph, I am glad you agree with me. Tucker, we can move on.
No, I said no.
No, I think you said this.
I said that it's very good.
Thank
You said it's
Joseph.
borderline. You said it's borderline game breaking.
Right, isn't that very good?
I have brought those are not the same. I have edged back your hysteria to appropriate levels.
I think your appropriate level needs to be bumped up. It's somewhere. I believe it is somewhere in between our 2 positions. And let us not forget that this synergizes with all the other photon torpedo cards out there.
Fewer than you think.
And cards that benefit, that help boost photon torpedoes.
Most of them.
Like retaliation.
Most of them. For God's sake, let me finish, Robert. Most of them either let you skip the target lock or make it so you don't disable. Notice
I was
how
thinking.
that's
Yes,
notice how that's not great with these.
that's true. I was thinking of retaliatory strike for one thing.
I know what you were thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to Verderon Pulse Trap because this is another.
No, you have to pronounce who convinced you.
I wasn't listening by the end of it. So moving on to Verderon Pulse Trap. um,
This is a silence of outrage, by the way, just in case that wasn't clear.
moving on to Verderon Pulse Trap.
Oh, one last thing about photon torpedoes.
Oh, God, what?
Okay, with Sakona and or Lurin, they're essentially free on all of your ships.
On one of your ships.
That
Well,
means
you run Lurin on one ship, you run Sakona on the other ship.
right. So here's my point. One, you have to run Lurin. Two, you spend Sakona doing that. I will spend her on other things.
All right, this argument is over.
Answer.
We're talking about Verderon Pulse Trap. So, 2-point, unique, finally they figured that out, weapon, setup. Oh, no they didn't, because you can totally... Balana's... No, you can't. Oh, that's cute. It doesn't discard. Okay, there's no way to make this happen more than once. Great. Setup. Place a minefield token anywhere that is not within range 1 to 2 of any edge of the play area. When a ship moves within range 1 of the minefield token, target that ship, place an auxiliary power token beside the target ship. So, I have a question before we talk about this card on its own. If I overlap this with a Cloaked Mines field, what happens to a ship that flies into the combined field?
It gets an Ox token and it takes 0, 1, 2, or 3 hits or crits.
Yeah, there's a ruling on that. It's the overlap only applies to similar tokens. I think the ruling was regarding cloaked mines and antimatter mines.
That doesn't make sense because antimatter mines doesn't have a field.
But if you overlap an antimatter mine inside a cloaked mine field,
What?
It's still a minefield. It's not one mine.
right? That's the point. Right. So if you have different types of mines in the field, each one will trigger. If you have the same type of mines, then those are what create the collective minefield.
Okay, this is giving me a headache. How good is the card on its own, Joseph?
It's pretty darn good. I will save a further headache for you for just a moment, but it's actually very good. The caveat is, unlike Cloaked Mines, it affects your ships. So where it really shines is where you don't want to engage. You want to keep ships away from you. It doesn't give you board control in the same way that Cloaked Mines do, because you can't move through them. So you're kind of roping off that area of the board for both of you. Where your headache, I fear, will increase is does the setup trigger happen before ships are placed or after ships are placed?
I would assume after. Why?
Well, if it triggers after your opponent has placed all the ships, then you can put it right in front of his ships.
Yes.
So that makes it a lot better because he's going to have to go through it. And any first round shenanigans that his fleet might want to rely on are certainly going to be delayed.
Yes.
And if you have first round shenanigans you want to employ, well, now's the time. As long as you can come in from the side or whatever and avoid it yourself. But I'm not sure if it happens before or after your ships are placed.
I would probably rule that it is after the ships are placed, because once the ship comes into play, then abilities would start to activate. Then that would get into the strange question of, does that mean that once the ship comes into play, you would then place the mine token? No, I guess that is a good question. Well, Jennifer Sisko says when the game begins after setup, What other setup cards do we have? Well, Tucker's going to look that up on Utopia because thank you, Chris, for making all the cards searchable.
I am. Yes.
You are.
He's been doing it all along.
That's exactly what he's been looking up. Where I like this card, I like it on backup fleets because now you can really build that nest behind 2 Cloaked Minds and the Veteran Plus.
Cards that say setup, DNA encoded messages, rules of acquisition, Bearda, Lurin, Prac, First. Okay, I'm just going to skip everything that places Gold Press Latinum or Thrones. Because otherwise this list is going to be very long and very boring. All right.
Well, Tucker's doing that. The other place that this card really shines.
Genesis Effect. Oh, you know what? It's... Okay, I'm... triphasic emitters, so cards that hide stuff.
So that's all during that's during the building phase. So I would that would seem to resonate with me that it happens before you play ships.
So how does Jennifer Cisco activate before you play ships, Robert?
No, because she says at the start of the game after setup.
Why couldn't she anyway before you play ships? Oh, because she targets a ship? Does she target a ship?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but she says at the start of the game. So she's not this isn't at the start after this
after setup.
After setup. Yeah, she's after setup. The other place I really like this card is with Ibix Dynasty because it's a non-discard card. That means it is the weapon that you can discard to cancel an attack with Ibix.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a combo, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That is... Okay, yeah. That's fair. It is a mandatory trigger, though, so you can't decide not to use it if it would be disadvantageous. So I guess you could just put it in some part of... All right, whatever. Let's talk about the big guy here. Chemocyte. 1 per ship. Ferengi Tech. 2 points. Activation phase. When you reveal the ship's maneuver, you may increase the speed of the maneuver by 2. The color of the maneuver remains the same as the revealed maneuver. Or, when attacking, discard this card, add 1 hit.
And /or.
Yes, you can do both in the same turn. That is true.
Yeah. So let me talk about the genesis of our collective opinions of this card. This card was previewed. I came onto our group chat and I said, this card's amazing. And Jeff was like, meh.
False.
It's okay.
False.
Then I looking at it, Joseph is like, Joseph said, there's no 4 turn, or there's no 4, there's barely a 4 bank, there's no 5 bank, it's limited. The movement that you can do with this card is incredibly limited. It's a worthless card. You know what? Just burn it, Robert. Those were his exact words. I have a screenshot. He said, just burn it.
I don't believe you.
Okay, half of this is true.
Well,
and I came around. I came around a little bit on it. That's the thing, though. I came around. Joseph gaslit me. I came around, and now I'm back on this being a card that we need to discuss in more detail. So, Joseph, admit all of that is true, and then we can move forward.
What actually happened, as always happens, was you said that, again, the game was broken, and this card had broken the game, and that not for the first time, you were going to sell your entire collection in despair.
Yeah, I sort of remember that part happening.
Don't run away from the record, Robert. Have you sold your entire attack wing collection before? You are under oath.
No, he's not.
Your Honor, that's more prejudicial than probative. I moved to strike.
What?
This
You can't just say words.
Those are all accurate words that I say in court, but go ahead.
This is a great card. I would pay 2 points for either of the abilities, quite happily. I would pay more than 2 points, probably, for the first ability. To get them both, I mean, because they do, you increase your maneuver to your benefit, you get them in your sights, you fire, you add a hit. Great. It probably should have been unique. Running this on every ship in your fleet is, I highly doubt would be bad.
Yeah, I do not think this card is good for the game. And I think part of the reason it's not good for the game is that the different maneuver templates for the ships were supposed to give color and character to this game. And the game does not do well when the board shrinks in size, and every ship can now do a 6 forward. The other problem with most every ship, there's a couple that can't. But then your 3 forwards where that was difficult, like your Grissums, your Keeman Weapon, and some of those other, the NXs, the ships that can only do 3 forwards, now those are doing 5 forwards. So their biggest handicap is overcome. So we have a smaller playing area. We have handicaps that were designed for ships being overridden by only 2 points. The fact that it is 1 per ship can go on every ship. And the other big thing that kind of bothers me about this card is captains and crew have range limitations to make those cards harder to play. Like Deanna Troi, like Data, like what's another one out of these packs? Like Gigas or whatever. The range of 1 to 2 is now meaningless when all ships can do 6 forwards. And I just feel that it takes away a component of the game that was challenging in trying to figure out range and timing. And everything is now just a Voyager, just like zooming across the board. And where that was once unique, it's now just going to be common. And I think that takes away something from the game. And I haven't even talked about adding the 1 hit. So you zoom across the board, you get into range, and now you're just adding damage everywhere.
I tend to agree with Robert that it does lessen the differences in maneuver dials between ships, and those Keldons doing 4 banks, for example, was neat, right? That was why you flew Keldons.
Yeah.
And when you flew Keldons, you only did 4 banks because it's the only time you could do them.
I don't know that I agree with that last part.
It's good form. 4 banks are good form. By
What's wrong
definition.
with you?
So I tend to agree. The hit is really good, but is not a concern. Where I'm less worried about it than Robert is, I think, is it is competing in the toughest slot there is, and fleet wide. If you have 3 ships, and this is going on everyone, that's 3 tech slots that are not having other techs that you pretty much are always flying. Now this is a worthy competitor for those, but that's why it doesn't bother me as much.
The other thing I want to bring up is that it also gives every ship, except for certain shuttles, access to quantum slipstream, which I think is not a good thing in this game.
Well, warp jump and quantum slipstream are not good things.
I think quantum slipstream in some ways is more detrimental than warp jump, because quantum slipstream you can perform quantum slipstream and still actually do actions against an opposing ship in that same phase.
And it gets you into range 1.
And it gets you into range 1.
Right.
So any limitation of a card to range 1, it means for 6 more points, it's going off.
And because it's Joseph, we all know that just means Matt Decker.
Well, I don't run quantum slipstream drive. You want to know why?
Because it's too good of a card.
Good form.
You can't just say that over and over, Joseph.
I think if anything is clear, it is that I can.
Oh my God.
And one final thought. You guys successfully talked me out of the issue where I had with every ship getting battle stations, and I've sort of been okay that difference in ships is not really good for the game. I really still feel every ship doing a 6 forward, at least the majority of ships doing 6 forwards, is not good for the game.
Well, nah.
Oh.
Six forward was special.
Yeah.
Well, now, but consider this, Robert. You could run as many Romulan pilots as you wanted, and that let you do it once for every ship.
Yeah.
Like the difference in terms of specialness, right? This is way better because of that hit, right? The difference in terms of specialness is this just can activate more times. So how many times are you going to go 6 forward in a game?
Well, twice. If I want to engage in second round, even if you do 1 forwards, I can go 6 forward, 6 forward with my entire fleet now, and corner you up. And Joseph, that was the other point that we talked about, is that all the other advanced movement cards have fairly big restrictions, either discards, disables, significant limitations, and this just blows by all of those.
I agree it's better, but I'm just saying, well, first of all, I don't think you're going to 6 forward and 6 forward. You're going to 6 forward.
And then 4 banks, of course.
And then probably 3 forward.
Well, but what I can do is I can 6 forward, and then I can put on my dials 1 forward, see what you do, and then make the election of do I want to do 1 forwards or 3 forwards, right? Because that's the other problem, is now instead of that guessing game that we've discussed in the past, which makes revealing dials interesting, I get more information than I can adjust.
And I agree to all, that's a separate issue. I'm just saying, in terms of your belief that it takes a specialness away from the game, all ships could go 6 forward once in the game before this, right? For the same cost, essentially, the same 2 points.
I guess I just feel like it's a potion. It's a potion in Final Fantasy. You never drink your potion because you never want to lose it.
All right, whatever. So, having come to that point, sorry?
Your mic shifted something.
I drink potions all the time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now you sound better.
All right. Whatever. All right, we got a couple more cards. Well, we got one more card to look at, or 2 more cards. Sorry, 2 more cards.
3.
3.
1.
Oh, did I do Chemocyte out of order? I totally did.
Yeah.
All right, weapon ports. It's the same old weapon ports, except 1, it's 2 points. 2, it only deals 3 damage, and 4, it can only deal damage to attack squads. Yeah, all right. I'm convinced this isn't playable.
Okay.
It is probably not playable. It's probably better against attack squadrons, because the other difference is there's no max number of pips it can take off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you run this with Latech.
With tax station.
No, with Latech. No, I mean, if you're taking this card, you're clearly taking Latech.
What the devil does Latech do again?
It gives you +2 to your attack dice.
No, you're not. No, you're being
I'm saying
ridiculous.
if you're building with weapons ports,
You're living in the past.
clearly playing with Latech. I'm just saying those 2 cards are married together.
If you fire this and tactical station with quality, that's good. Like that would be something you would 100% take if you knew you were going to be facing fighters in a round.
That is true.
Yeah, but like,
because
when do you know that anymore?
Well, it depends on what your meta is. I mean,
Right,
it's a role player, right?
Well,
Yeah.
So this costs 2 points. So are you taking this over at any time, even knowing you're playing against fighters? Are you taking this over photon torpedoes or Venerton pulse?
Yes. If they're flying double fighters, I'm taking this in tactical station.
All right, it's good against fighters. We're running a little short on time, so let's move on, because I know we all wanted to get to the T9 energy converter.
If you thought I had opinions about some of these cards, just you wait.
Oh, for God's sake! All right, it's a unique tech, 2 points. It says end phase, disable this card and remove an aux from beside the ship. Repair 1 shield on this ship. All right, Robert, what's your opinion?
I have it's not a particularly good card.
Oh, Joseph, do you have an opinion?
It's good. I don't think it has a use though, for sure.
Uh,
If it does have one, it's the Hathaway probably.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Because it's pretty cool on the Hathaway, and it also depends on two things. One, can this activate if you're at full shields, as we were discussing earlier? And two, how much is this Ox meta that Robert is so panicked about gonna be in play? Because if it's big and you can repair when you're at full shields, then this is you're clearing this is letting you clear an extra Ox token every end phase.
But isn't Power Grid better?
Not every end phase. You have to disable it.
Oh, you do have to disable it.
Yeah, and in that case, I agree with Robert. Power Grid is probably better.
Because Power Grid also lets you remove the Ox when you receive the Ox, so you can still take actions if you perform a red maneuver. But this won't let you take. This will not let you perform actions after you perform a red maneuver.
It's also
Yeah,
unique. You only get it on one ship.
Wow. Yeah, I missed the disable. I retract. I recant my statement.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Joseph, you're off the show.
Great. And now that we have absolutely no time left, let's get to the most complicated damn card in this pack. Biomimetic Gel counts as a tech weapon. It's a question mark natively. It's unique. 3 points. It's range 1 to 2. An activation phase. Place 2 time tokens on this card and target a crew, weapon, or tech upgrade equipped to another ship. Place a biomimetic gel token on the target upgrade. What does it do? That depends. If it's a crew, the ship that placed the token can spend the token to use the ability of the crew upgrade. So sort of like 7 of 9 with tech.
Odo, like Odo.
No, like 7 of 9.
Okay.
The adaptation token one.
Oh, right.
Weapon. When this weapon upgrade deals damage to an opposing ship's hull, so the ship that placed the token on this upgrade can spend it to discard a crew card of their choice equipped to the defending ship. So, okay, so I'm sorry.
You could put it on one of your friends. Is it? Can it go on your ship? It has to go on.
It can go on your ship. It can go on any ship.
So if you can put it on your weapon or a friendly ship's weapon, so that when they do damage to an opponent's hull, they have to discard one crew upgrade of the defending ship. Yeah, so it's always you'd never put it on an opponent's weapon.
No, because don't you then become the opposing ship in that situation? That's what it's referencing.
No, because yes. In other words, Robert, if I put this on an opponent's ship and they attack me, I'll have to discard a crew upgrade if I want. Because
unless this is the issue that we also have with PAR, where there's now these shifting terms of we now look at perspective of a card determining opposing ship.
No, it's a token rule.
We don't have that. We don't even have that problem.
Whatever. This ability is stupid and nobody's ever going to use it. All right.
Yes. Oh, the weapon weapon ability specifically?
Yes.
Fair.
All right. The tech one says when the ability of this tech upgrade is used, the ship that placed this token can spend it to place 2 time tokens on each crew upgrade equipped to the ship. However, whenever you spend a token to do any of these things, roll a battle stations. If you roll a die. If you roll battle stations, you discard both the gel upgrade and the upgrade the token was on.
So this card is amazing at shutting down shield adaptation.
How does it shut down shield adaptation?
Because when you activate shield adaptation to reduce the attack by 2 dice, all of your crew get time tokens on them, which your ship's probably going to have quite a bit of crew because it's a shield adaptation ship. And we roll a battle station, and there's a chance of you losing shield adaptation.
Joseph, is he right?
He is correct. This card is broken.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes, that's absolutely the case. I just don't know if it's specifically good against shield adaptation or not. But this card is super broken.
Actually, here's the cautionary note, and to call you guys back from getting ahead of yourself, as I'm known for doing, and the voice of reason, It's an activation phase.
Range 1 to 2.
Ability, range 1 to 2. And activation phase abilities, I think, now happen before any ships move.
Which is why you use this with quantum slipstream drive, because then you put it on them the next round.
Well, you put it on them the round you use quantum slipstream drive.
No, because you can't. When you activate, right? Your activation phase happens before you quantum slipstream.
Right. So that's
yeah.
That's wearing. Now, if it was range 1 to 3, that's a pretty big difference. It's still not. This is probably still not activating in the first round of combat. And in fact, it's almost certainly not. And so perhaps that's enough to rein it down, because that's a big downside.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, this card, T9 Energy Converter, and Veteran are all actually independent cards, not Ferengi cards.
Oh, I hadn't even noticed that. That's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, super, super powerful ability. One, I question its place in this game because, oh man, against interface generators, it gets, I don't know. Actually, Joe Tucker, you said you thought Shield Adaptation was not the one to use this on, or wasn't its prime ability. What other tech do you think that this works against?
Literally any of them? Cloak
Well,
Mines?
literally,
I don't know.
But which one would you think, like, oh man, I got them now because I have biomimetic gel?
It does have to target something that's equipped to another ship, by the way. Sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah, it can't target itself, but it can target anything.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't want to target because I think Shield Adaptation is the
Yes,
ultimate.
what I would really like to do is disable all of the crew on my ship.
No, I mean any of its abilities.
No, I know.
Can't target itself.
Yeah.
But
Because where it starts to push being a little broken again is you put it on, you target a friendly ship that has an attack canceling crew or a sweet crew on it, and it's only a 25% chance that you're going to lose that crew, and you're really only losing the biomimetic gel cost because you're still that crew's ability is still activating once, right?
Yeah, interesting. So it's a cheaper Odo.
Yeah, with a little bit of a risk, but nevertheless.
But if it's a discount,
Risk is our business. That's why we're bored.
hey, I just actually had a thought. If I use the ability of a discard crew, does the crew get discarded?
No. Why would it?
because you have to pay the cost of the card.
No, you don't. Normally you do, but you don't in this.
How do you know?
Because you're not activating. You're spending the BMG to use. Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Use the ability of this crew. Wow, that makes it interesting.
Because
I think it's
because here's the deal. By the way, either way, this card is super broken. Because either you could just use it to discard your opponent's crew willy-nilly, and you can do something ridiculous, like activate their second of 5 to gank something from one of their other ships, and that's like the most hilarious disruption effect you could possibly do. Or you can just recur this new Gorn that got previewed today and do a crit over and over and over.
Well,
Until you roll out battle stations.
That's why you put him on a ship with Cisco.
Right, because you're spending the token. Oh my god, that's right. So the biomimetic gel card will never disappear because you're only losing the token. So who cares if you discard the token?
Yeah.
But Tucker might be right that you have to use the ability.
Right, but
But
then
the token uses the ability, not the card.
But then you can do stuff like can projected stasis field target a friendly ship? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
Yeah,
Does diplomacy? Can you imagine diplomacying one of your opponent's ships or one of their ships? That would
Well,
be
it's an
Well.
ET, but you know what? I'm not going to slow down your enthusiasm. I'm right there with you. That's
Okay.
trouble. But making second of 5, discard.
I think that's cute, but I don't think that's.
Oh, it's good, but
That's-
it's not broken.
that's a
But it's
blowout.
good.
Are you kidding?
But oh yeah, it's just target a ship. But but even still, it's pretty good with. Okay, is the range 1 to 2? Did the ships have to stay within range 1 to 2 of each other?
No.
Let me put it this way: can you put a biomimetic gel token on the ship with Slar at the beginning of the activation phase, and then quantum slipstream drive across the board, and then biomimetic gel someone's hull for a crit?
Yep.
The next turn.
No.
No.
The very
Oh, right.
Oh my
Very
god!
bad.
There's
That's
no
very-
timing! There's no timing on spending the token! You can do it at any time!
Anytime between steps.
Oh my god, this is so bad!
very same turn.
Oh
Well,
my god.
so far I think we've made the argument that Slar is broken, but there is potential here that this is going to be trouble. Perhaps this was the thing that Dustin was so shifty about when he was talking about his new strategy. Perhaps this is the very same thing.
Is he into that high variance?
What variance? It's not even. I'm not that variance risk because you're all you wanted to do is activate once.
That's true, and you can put it on a ship with Cisco and it'll re-roll.
If it activates once and Slar gets discarded, well, the question is, does Slar that's the question that needs answering. Because if he sticks around, then it's broken.
He should, because it's only the token himself. The token itself is using the ability, not the card.
That's not what it says. It
Yeah,
says
it
to
says-
use the ability of this crew upgrade, which is
Yeah,
ambiguous. I feel
Let's see. This ship that placed.
In order
You
to
may
use an
spend the
ability,
token to use the ability.
in order to use an ability, you have to use costs. I mean, you can also do stuff like and again, like if it does use costs, you can do ridiculous stuff. You ready for this one? You can biomimetic gel your opponent's Grawl to kill Grawl, and then put the latinum on the. Oh, it's on the equipped to this. No, yeah. So it goes onto the captain of the ship with biomimetic gel because this ship always refers to the ship that's activating the ability.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's so stupid. Hey, guys. How does this work with Parlenar?
Okay, I'm going to finish the show. I want to finish the show on an anecdote because I think it's very, very important to what we're talking about right here. And
Okay, we'll call this Robert's final thoughts so that he doesn't
Yes.
complain about.
No, that's
not
these are
giving
my
me
final thoughts. So I have a new player that came out to ROPs and he's having a great time, but he's a little frustrated with the complexity of card interactions.
Like you do.
Yes. And he contacted me, said he was going to an X-Wing tournament, but wanted to take a Star Trek attack wing fleet to show people the differences between the two games. So Joseph and I built a fleet to take, and it ended up being Romulans versus Federation, and it highlighted sort of card combinations. It was Picard and Ducat, with the Galgathon firing plasma torpedoes, and all of the X-Wing players loved the game. They absolutely enjoyed the card interaction. And what that resonates with me is that this is an amazing game at the non-competitive level. I think people really enjoy this game when they do not push it to the boundaries that we often try to push it on this show. And I don't know what that means for the future of the game, but I can definitely say unequivocally that this is an incredibly fun game when you're not trying to push it to the extremes that we push it.
So actually, on that note, for everybody listening, if you're thinking of trying this, You wanna bring a ship that X-wing players will love? Alpha Hunter. Tell an X-wing player you get to barrel roll as a free action after you move. Their eyes will light up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, that happened in the game. The Romulan ships were said to going within millimeters of other ships, and they just had great piloting skills.
Yeah, because they're friggin' X-wing players.
Yeah.
TIE fighters barrel roll all the time.
Right.
All right. So, Joseph, any final thoughts about the pack?
You should. My final thoughts are that if you're going to do that, you should bring a 608 to scourge the X-wing ships off the board.
Okay, look, whatever.
So that they leave in despair.
Do either of you have any final thoughts
and never
about the
pick
Ferengi
up another plastic
pack?
ship again?
About
because
the
of
Ferengi pack.
evil X-wing players. I think this is an incredibly strong pack. Buy it. Get your friends to buy it so you can trade because or borrow from each other, but feel very comfortable buying more than one.
Yeah, I not only feel comfortable, I almost feel like it's mandatory by two.
Unless you have good friends that share, that's why Robert says that, because the California bunch are rotten.
Thanks.
Well, I think it's because people are going to be using the cards, so they're not going to be in a position to necessarily share them.
That actually is a fairly good point. Yeah, buy as many as you want. It's always going to be justified. You can lend out uniques, whatever. Cool. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for today. I'm sadly looking at our time, remembering fondly when we could do this many cards in an hour and a half. But yeah, everybody's already had their final thoughts, so I don't want to hear any whining from either of you. To the viewer, I say, if you enjoyed the show, please feel free to like us. We're on, as far as I can tell, pretty much all the major podcasting platforms, but we pay attention to iTunes and Player.fm, so you should like us there, write us nice reviews, like us on Facebook, write us Facebook messages. We will see you all next time, but for now, dials down. Be generous.
State of the Federation is a non-profit, fan-based production of Tucker Kobe, Joseph Vanderyacht, and Robert Fletcher. Editing by Tucker Kobe. State of the Federation original concept by Will Sanchez. Star Trek Attack Wing, the flight path system, and all other properties mentioned are owned by their respective rights holders.